The classic American author Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote a short story called The Birthmark. A professor falls in love with a young lady named Georgina. She is physically perfect in every way, a model of beauty, and he adores her. But Georgina has a tiny birthmark on her cheek in the shape of a tiny human hand. As the marriage goes on, this birthmark begins to bother her husband more and more. He sees that little hand as her only flaw, her only weakness, her only imperfection, the one thing keeping her from perfect beauty. He becomes obsessed with this birthmark, hates it, and wants to get rid of it. One night he has a dream that he is taking a knife and cutting the birthmark from her cheek. But the deeper he cuts, the deeper the birthmark goes, until he finds that it has gone all the way down into her heart. To remove that birthmark, he is willing even to cut into her heart. Georgina hears him talking in his sleep and asks him what it is all about. When he tells her, she decides that she has to get rid of that little hand at any cost because it is destroying their marriage. She asks him to use all his scientific expertise and remove the flaw. So he takes her into his laboratory and gives her a secret potion. She drinks it, and sure enough, the birthmark completely disappears. And Georgina dies. The man has received what he wanted, a flawless beauty of a wife. But she is no longer alive. He had seen the birthmark as an imperfection, a weakness. In reality, that little hand was what was keeping her alive. Many of us have birthmarks. Often we regard them as imperfections, weaknesses marring our otherwise perfect beauty. Perhaps the most famous birthmark in modern times was on the head of Mikhail Gorbachev, that famous port wine stain displayed prominently on his head. I once knew a very old nun who had a hideous birthmark covering more than half of her face. It was as though only half of the face was that of a woman, and the other half was totally unrecognizable. She was an excellent person, a wonderful human being. Many years ago, probably about 100 years ago, she decided to become a sister, and she looked for an order whose habit would completely conceal her face. Let's not be ashamed or afraid of our birthmarks. Throughout history, different peoples have had different ways of looking at birthmarks. Some people call them the kiss of an angel. An angel kisses us and leaves the mark. The Italians call birthmarks voglie, desires, because they believe that while the mother is carrying the child, if she has a craving for something she doesn't get, a birthmark will come to the child. If she craves a strawberry and doesn't find one, that child will be blessed with a mark of a strawberry on its skin. The Hungarians have an interesting word for birthmark. They call it the anyajegy, the mark of the mother. The mother has left her mark, her brand, on that child. What a beautiful way of seeing it. In reality, though, a birthmark is that which sets us apart, distinguishes us from everything and everyone else. A birthmark is what makes us special. Jesus talks about the birthmark we have, that sign by which people will know that we are truly children of God. This is how all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love. Love is our own birthmark as children of God. This birthmark is not an imperfection, not a weakness. Our topsy-turvy, pseudo-rational, pseudo-macho world of today has it all wrong. Violence is not strength. Love is not weakness. It is not weakness to turn the other cheek, but strength. It is not weakness to be moved to pity and compassion at the plight of another human being in misery. It is strength. It is not weakness to admire and create beauty. It is strength. It is not weakness to feel our heart melt at the smile of a little child. It is strength. It is not weakness to shed tears of grief. It is strength. It is not weakness to be filled and moved by love. It is strength. Our topsy-turvy pseudo-Christian modern society has it all wrong too. The mark of the child of God is not a stubborn, desperate clinging to traditions and trappings. It is love. That birthmark by which we bear testimony to the God of love is not a certain way of thinking, of voting, of believing, of judging, hating, and condemning. It is love. That little hand of God upon our cheek is not there to burn fear and terror into our hearts, not there to strike us down at our every misstep, but is there to gently caress us, to move us, to elevate us and transform us into itself, into love itself. Love is not weakness. As the modern songwriter and performer Dave Matthews sings, love is not a whisper or a weakness. No, love is strong. Indeed, God leaves the divine mark on us so that we may leave our mark on the world and transform it into something more godlike, into something more loving. Love is our birthright and our birthmark. Every child of God bears that wonderful stamp in the shape of God's hand. Love, that mark so often perceived as weakness and imperfection, is the very thing that makes us truly human. The imprint of the hand of God upon our humanity. It is the very thing which makes us truly strong, for that hand supports and upholds us. It is the very thing which makes us truly perfect, for it is the onyayej, the stamp of the Mother, Father, Creator. It is God. Wear your birthmark proudly, for it is this, and only this, that shows you to be a child of God, if you have love. Never be afraid of what makes you different, for that hand upon your cheek is God's.